My name's Brielle. I'm 22 years old and I'm addicted to social media, and so are you. If you don't think you are, you're probably even worse than the rest of us, so I don't like the rules. I don't think it's any secret that social media is not always the best for us. People have talked to death about how it can mess with our mental health, how it can ruin our productivity. But the main problem that I have with social media is the lack of control. I see myself compulsively opening apps and then not even spending any time in them. I'm just clicking them for like some sort of rush and it freaks me out. Literally, I often open YouTube and Instagram, realize I'm not interested in consuming any of the content, and immediately close out. But I still clicked, and that's the part that drives me a little bit crazy. It doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like an itch that I do subconsciously. Now, even though it still drives me crazy, I do feel like my relationship with social media is a little bit better than a lot of the people of my generation, and I don't have problems with a lot of the time wasters that a lot of people do. For example, I don't have a Twitter account, or I have an account, but I haven't touched it in probably like 6 months. I don't have Facebook. I haven't used TikTok in months. Yet even though I don't use those apps, I still have them on my phone. I still have accounts because I sort of felt like I had to, and that's something that also really bothers me, this sense of like obligation. Now, even though I don't have problems with those specific apps, that doesn't mean that there aren't other apps that are the bane of my existence. And that's what we're going to dive into now. What are my personal culprits? What's taking my time? What's making me click? I'm not going to be talking about this in terms of screen time because, like I said, the main problem I have is just opening the apps and then closing right out of them. I don't think I spend a lot of time on them, and also because I don't have my screen time analytics because it scares me and I keep it turned off. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, but what I am going to be talking about is my estimates for how many times I think I click on these apps in a day. All right, let's start off with YouTube. YouTube is my go-to when I have time to fill, in the morning when I'm getting ready, at night when I'm getting ready for bed, and the only one where I actually feel like I am spending time on it. I would say I open YouTube 15 times per day. Instagram, sort of a similar situation, except I'm really not going through Instagram. I'm literally opening and closing out of it, but I would say I open it maybe 10 times a day. Pinterest, definitely more of a lightweight contender. I'm only looking at it maybe like 3 times a week. Then we have Snapchat. Again, don't think I have a problem with Snapchat. Maybe I look at it like 2 times a day to respond to people. Now we get to the main problems. The reason I think I fall prey to these is because I can justify them as like business and I don't feel guilty about them in the same way I do like checking Instagram, but also because they are new. I sort of feel like I'm over the Instagram rush. That was maybe like a problem like 5 years ago when I first discovered the app, but it's sort of, stale to me now. But these are things that I just recently started, and therefore they still have that appeal of like newness. So one is checking YouTube Studio, checking my analytics, checking if my videos are getting views, staring at graphs. I find it so fascinating, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it per se, but when you're doing this sort of compulsive checking, I think it's not great. It also can just really get you down when you're not seeing any progress, and I would say I open YouTube Studio probably like 20 times a day. Another similar one, also compulsively checking analytics, is Etsy. And I would say I'm opening that like 30 times a day because I just started to shop. So I'm constantly checking my views, my numbers, all of that. So these are all the apps that I'm going to be cutting out of my life cold turkey starting today. I didn't just delete the apps and hope for the best. I knew that if I really wanted to make this work, I needed to set some rules for myself. Okay, now, because I wanted to be extremely serious about this, I wrote my rules on a whiteboard. Let's talk through them, shall we? Number 1, no desktop cheating, which means I can't be going onto Instagram.com or YouTube.com on my desktop to scratch that itch. No analytics in all caps, because again, I think that is my itch. That is my problem. It gives me the same social media rush that I used to get from Instagram, and it has the added allure of like potentially making money from it. And then rule number 2 is something that I'm adding on just to make this more difficult for myself, and that is no phone 1 hour before bed and 1 hour after I wake up. And this is because I honestly think that this is not going to be that hard. Just to sort of make things a little more challenging for me to really push myself and see if I can stay off my phone right when I wake up, right before I go to bed, because those are honestly the times where I feel like I'm on my phone the most, and I know it's not good for me. Definitely gonna have to find other ways to fill that time. The only thing that I really think could trip me up during this challenge is forgetting rule number 1 and just like instinctively pulling up YouTube, because I'm gonna have access to the internet on my desktop. Something else I'm really curious about is, am I just gonna be opening my phone and instinctively going to look at the app and then realizing it's not there? Like, am I gonna have that compulsive itch and catch myself? Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to get started on this challenge starting right now. It is 9:30 a.m. on Sunday, and I'm going to be doing this until Saturday. So let's get started. Hello, it is time for our first update. It is later the same day. I think it's around 3 o'clock. I have some thoughts from my first 6 hours without social media. Okay, the first thing, am I itching for it? Short answer, yes. I don't feel exceptionally bored, but I have noticed myself opening my phone, literally going to the spot that I would have YouTube, and then there's nothing there. Literally earlier, I was about to pull out my car to go to a coffee shop. My brain was like, open YouTube. Literally was about to pull out. I wouldn't have been able to watch a YouTube video. It's literally just the subconscious, uncontrolled tics. It's crazy. I don't feel disappointed or anything. I'm just oh, that's weird that I had that urge without even realizing it. Am I being more productive? Again, short answer would be yes. I definitely feel like I'm being productive. Today I have filmed 4 videos, edited part of one, made a thumbnail, which usually would take me forever, and I've gotten that done between 10 a.m. and 3. Definitely feeling my productivity is up. The only distraction that I have left is texting, but I'm only texting one person, and honestly it's a healthy amount of distraction to me. It's keeping me entertained. In terms of how I feel, honestly, almost as soon as I deleted the apps, I just felt a sense of relief. I feel like my time feels more freed up. My options feel limited, which I actually find refreshing. I feel like information overload is so real. Also, the fact that that door is open is creeping me out. Information overload is so real, and having too many options definitely can be overwhelming. And so having fewer ways that I can spend my time and just needing to focus on other things has been such a relief to me. So yes, that is how I'm feeling. Overall, things are going really, really well so far, and I honestly don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. There have been a few times where genuinely I felt like I needed to check something, and in those cases, it's been irritating, but for how I feel mentally, totally worth it. I also am going to a balloon festival right now, which is usually an occasion that I feel like I would pull out my phone and take a story or something. So I'm curious to see if I'm gonna feel like I'm missing out while I'm there. I will let you know if I do. Also, just quickly jumping in to say, if you guys have ever tried to give up social media or have any experiences with this type of stuff, please leave them in the comments, because I think everyone would be really curious to hear about that, including me. So, good morning, guys. It is about 8:30 a.m. on day 2, and I woke up half an hour ago without my phone, which was honestly really difficult. I'm so used to as soon as I wake up reaching for my phone, going on it for a few minutes to just wake up my brain with the light, which is probably terrible for me, and it's probably a good thing that I'm not doing that. But it was hard to get out of bed and just start doing things. Now I'm gonna go get ready because I still have half an hour where I can't be on my phone, so might as well. And I'm gonna update you guys on how last night went, because honestly things have been a roller coaster. It's definitely not as sunshiny as it was for the first few hours. I am definitely feeling some withdrawal and some struggles, so we're going to talk about that. Things were great when I was at the festival. Honestly, it felt really, really nice to have zero pressure, to look good, to get good posts. I was just enjoying. I felt like I was in the moment. This is gonna sound really pretentious, and I swear to God I don't mean it to, but it really made me notice just how much everyone else was on their phone. Every single time a balloon went in the air, everyone whipped out their phones. They were taking pictures, videos. It was literally just a field of people with their phones in the air. It really just made me think about how huge of a struggle this is, how ingrained social media is in everything we do, how literally every time we see something pretty or special or photogenic, we all have this just like subconscious thought of like, oh, I need to take a picture of this, I need to take a video of this. Honestly, while I was there, I was not missing it at all, and I was thrilled to not have that pressure. That's all fine and dandy, but when I got home and I realized I had to turn off my phone for an hour before I went to sleep, I was not so thrilled. I was dead tired, and all I wanted to do was watch a YouTube video. I was literally craving a specific YouTuber. Honestly, it was the first time that I feel like I almost cracked. I was just like, you know, what's the point? Like, I'm home, I'm not missing out on anything. Why am I depriving myself? Like, this is all I want to do right now. Regardless of all of that, I stuck to it. You know, I told my boyfriend I was going to sleep at 9:30 p.m. and I went off my phone. I did end up just watching TV though, which like, I'm not thrilled that I basically just replaced a screen with a different screen. I definitely think tonight I'm gonna try to like read or something, like do something that's like totally screen free for the hour before bed, but I'm just glad that I did not crack. It was definitely hard. I'm definitely like feeling a little cranky, feeling a little annoyed. I really think that if this video was not holding me accountable, that I probably would have cracked by now. So shout out to you. Without even knowing it, you are holding me accountable. I think the key is keeping busy, because it really is in that downtime that I feel the absence the most, which is why I think the morning and the night are so hard for me. I'm actually really glad I added that rule, because I do feel like it's made things really difficult. I love a good challenge. I'm missing going to sleep, watching YouTube, waking up, checking my texts. Like, I had a whole list of notifications this morning and I just didn't look at them. I will check in with you guys later today. Hopefully things feel a little bit easier during the day. It's okay, you know? It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth it. Trying to convince myself. Guys, I'm literally so disturbed. It just turned 9 a.m. and not only did I like count down to it, like wait till I could check my phone, but literally after I like responded to my texts, I like breathed a sigh of relief. I was like, ah. And oh my god, it just made me realize like I am literally addicted to this. Like, I felt like relief from like being able to like look at my phone and get the like dopamine hit. Like, I'm kind of freaked out about the whole thing. This is nuts. And I thought I was going to have such an easy time with this. Like, I really was stroking my own ego, being like, oh, I don't even have a problem with social media. Like, I'm so much better than the rest of my generation with it. Like, no, you're not. You just have different problems with it than most people do. Yeah, it's freaky, guys. We are in my car today and it is day 3. It is around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Things are going, I would say, decently well. Some positive things first, starting off on a good note. I've noticed myself saying yes to a lot more stuff. I think it's because I feel less overwhelmed. I have this extra time, like this extra hour at night, this extra hour in the morning, and just like more time throughout the day because I'm not like compulsively checking. So I feel like I've just been saying yes to more, being more present in experiences, like hanging out with my family. This morning I literally like planted plants with my mom and it was so cute, and I just was like, if I could go on my phone right now, I would probably be leaving the house, going to do work or something already. Something else that is positive / exciting is because I'm checking my phone less and because I don't have access to like my analytics and stuff like that, I am really excited for when I am going to be able to check those things. And I also feel like I'm giving enough time and space for things to actually happen. When you're compulsively checking your views, your likes, whatever it is, right? And I'm sure those of you who have like Instagram or whatever can relate to this. You're not getting much every time you check. If anything, you're getting like a handful of likes because you're checking so frequently. You're not giving enough time for anything to happen. Versus if you're only checking every few hours, notifications are building up or views are building up. And it's just so much more rewarding when you do look at it. And so one of my favorite things about not having access to this stuff and like not being able to check my texts first thing in the morning is it's so much more rewarding when I do check them. Now to the more negative side of things. Holy butts, it is hot in here. I do have this weird anxiety where I feel like I could be missing things that are important, or something could go wrong and I wouldn't know about it. There is like some weird level of anxiety. Something that's also just weird is I notice myself checking my email more, which like I don't check my email, but I almost feel like I'm using it as a substitute, which is just like the same as basically checking analytics. So I need to cut that out. But overall, things are going really well, and I'm honestly really happy with how things have been. I don't miss Instagram. I don't miss most of the apps. I don't miss Pinterest. The only things that I'm really excited to get back are YouTube and my analytics. After this experiment, I'm not sure how much of what I'm currently doing I'm going to keep in place. I think that'll be interesting to see how I feel by the end, whether I'm going to continue any of these habits. That is how I'm feeling about things at the moment, and I will check back in with you guys a little bit later. Hi guys, welcome to day 4 of my no social media challenge. How I feel about this challenge and my mood about it generally just correlates with my general mental health. On days where I'm having really good, happy, positive days, I don't care that my social media is gone. In fact, I'm thrilled about it. I'm thriving. I'm so glad that I'm doing this. And then on days or moments where I don't feel so good, or I'm feeling insecure or just like overworked, I really, really miss having the comfort of YouTube, of things to fill that extra time where I'm just left with my thoughts. Everything just feels amplified because I have no comforting things to go to. I almost feel like social media can sometimes act as like a numbing, like dampening tool, making it easier to process those more difficult emotions and keeping you from having to really be alone with your thoughts. But when that's gone and you're in these like quieter waiting moments, there's not really anything to gravitate towards, and therefore they just hit harder. So the positive stuff is hitting deeper, the negative stuff is hitting deeper. Just in general, everything feels amplified. I think that this really points to something that a lot of people, and maybe you, can relate to with social media use, where it is sort of this comforting thing sometimes. YouTube definitely is a comfort for me whenever I'm feeling like tired or discouraged. That's like one of the things that I would go to for like a pick-me-up, give me like energy and inspiration, and without it, it just feels weird. I don't think this is necessarily a negative thing. I would rather be forced to face my emotions authentically and have to process them without that like safety blanket of social media. So if anything, this has pointed out to me like areas of myself that I can work on to like improve my mental health so that I don't feel like I need it. It has been really cool to prove to myself that I can go without it and that I will survive and that I don't depend on it, because I don't want to be dependent on anything, and it just feels really good to know that I can cut myself off when I want to. One thing I have caught myself doing is trying to cheat when I'm on my laptop. I sort of anticipated this being a problem, but when I was, oh my god, this is so ugly, I'm so sorry. When I was posting my Etsy listings, when I was uploading YouTube videos, I caught myself trying to catch sneaks at the analytics and trying to dig into my old habit. That is one thing that has been driving me crazy, is not being able to check my analytics. It is simultaneously a relief and an absolute 24/7 thing that I wish I could do. Also, my voice is hoarse because I just practiced singing and went way too hard probably. When I did get those quick glimpses of analytics, I was so much more aware of how badly they affected me, how they put me in a bad mood for hours if they weren't what I wanted to see. If I had just refrained and really stuck to not checking like I'm supposed to, I wouldn't have had that negative mood at all. So I'm going to try to be way more strict with myself about not catching those glimpses when I'm on my computer. That's how things are going as of now, and I will check back in with you guys tomorrow for day 5. Hi guys, it is day 5, and full transparency, I did break my own rules. Hold on, let me turn off that light. Last night and this morning, I did not follow my 1-hour rule before bed and waking up. And the reason was that something was going on in my personal life, and I decided that it was more important to take care of my relationships than to stick to this challenge 100%. I felt like I needed to be able to text before I went to bed and this morning, so that is what I decided to do. I think it's an important reminder that while it's great to be striving to improve yourself, to challenge yourself, to be pushing yourself at all times, it's also really important to... God, is the fan gonna be making noise? Like I was saying, it's great to challenge yourself and everything, but it's also really important to make sure that you're not sacrificing or jeopardizing really important things that are in your life is something that I had to reckon with, and I did decide that it was in my best interests just to give my relationships the attention they needed and deal with the fact that I slipped up on one of my rules. That being said, the core of this challenge, the part that actually matters, like being without social media, I'm still going strong on, which I am very proud about, and I'm excited for another day of doing all this craziness. Take this as a reminder not to be too hard on yourself. If something gets in the way, not beating yourself up about it, because it is bound to happen from time to time. Hey guys, another clip from my car. It is day 6, which means that we are almost done with this challenge. My hair is now black. Most significantly, I'm no longer having that itch. I'm not opening my phone and realizing it's not there. There's just sort of this like vague awareness that I don't have social media right now in the back of my brain, but honestly 99% of the time I forget about it. I'm not thinking about it, which is crazy because literally in the first few days I was so aware of it. Also, I'm in public and people keep walking by. One of the hardest things about being new to the YouTube game is getting used to being stared at. I just feel like I'm used to it. It is not nearly as consuming or as difficult as it was at the beginning, and honestly I feel like I'm gonna be able to finish it out strong, although I won't lie, I am excited to have it back. It's definitely not the type of thing where I'm like, oh my god, my life has changed, I never want to touch social media again. No, like I'm definitely gonna binge some YouTube on Sunday and I'm totally okay with that. I don't know, I think part of what it's proved to me is that I do feel like I can have a healthy relationship with social media, and yes, I don't think I want to be on it as frequently as I was on it before, but I also don't feel like it's something that I need to cut out of my life completely. I do feel like it adds something, it is a source of entertainment for me, and I don't think that's necessarily bad, you know? Okay, I will check in with you guys tomorrow with my final update and my final thoughts. Hi guys, it is day 7. I've officially been social media free for an entire week, and it has been not at all what I expected it to be. To be honest with you, I expected to come out of this week feeling changed, feeling like I realized how much better my life could be, free from screens and all of this crazy stuff. And to be honest with you, that's not how I feel at all. Don't get me wrong, there was this sense of relief at the beginning, there was like a little boost of productivity, and I was like, don't mind the fact that there's people cheering downstairs. I think my dog did something right. I did feel this little boost of productivity and this like sense of relief. It manifested into a lot of negative things as well, like some anxiety that I was missing something important, or just feeling like socially disconnected from certain people in my life and things like that I wasn't anticipating, and that honestly ultimately ended up making me feel like my life was worse off without social media. I'm not saying that obsessively being on social media, checking it all the time, is a healthy strategy. I think the best of both worlds lies somewhere in the middle, where I have the freedom to check in on it, but I've trained myself not to be constantly itching for it, because don't get me wrong, I still think that itch is irritating, and I'm glad to be free of that part of it. I just feel like I'm depriving myself so much. I personally need this reminder, and I think everyone needs this reminder, that we are not machines. Not everything is about making your productivity as perfect as possible, making your routine as perfect as possible. Like, it's really okay to need downtime, to need mindless entertainment every once in a while, and you shouldn't feel shameful or weird about that. It's important to give yourself time to decompress, or you're not going to be able to get anything meaningful done. Am I going to revise my relationship with social media? Yes. Am I going to maybe decrease the amount of times I'm checking it as much as I can? Yes. But am I going to like force myself to go into like total detox, to cut off this source of dopamine, to like also get rid of the main source of my like mindless entertainment that really helps me relax? Like, no, like why would I do that? So do you guys like the hair? I'm like kind of obsessed with it. So that's how I'm feeling. I'm honestly really excited to be able to check everything again, to see what I missed, to feel reconnected. I'm not gonna pretend that I suddenly think social media is evil, or that I hate it now and my life has changed from doing this, because that's just not the truth, and I want to be honest. I proved myself that I could go without it. I got rid of that itch, which I'm hoping will sort of stay away, so I could maybe just check in on things once a day, twice a day, and to have like a really healthy, balanced relationship with all of this. I think there's such a delicate balance between self-improvement and also looking after your personal life, your relationships, the other aspects of your life that aren't related to productivity, career, like self-development. And that is a balance that I'm still trying to find, and I'm sure some of you guys can relate to that. Also, I want to do more of these, like, I tried blank for a week type of videos, so if you guys have any suggestions for that, definitely let me know. Hi guys, so I'm currently editing this video. It is later in the day on day 7. I've technically had social media back all day, but we'll talk in a second about why that's like not really the case. I was just looking back at those initial clips and realizing how many times I said I thought I was clicking on these apps, and it is just so crazy to me because I almost feel like I forgot not how much of a problem, but how much I was looking at them, because now I'm just so used to being without them. Even though technically I'm allowed to have them back now, I didn't even bother re-downloading them yet because I just wasn't thinking about it. Even though in my head I'm sort of like, oh, I'm excited to get them back. It took me like 7 hours to re-download Instagram. I still haven't watched a YouTube video, which again, I'm shocked because I really felt like I was craving it. But that itch is just gone. It's just like not really in my awareness anymore. So if you have that problem with like an itch, I strongly recommend doing this, even just for 3 or 4 days. It'll really help you get rid of that like instinctive pull. And I hope it stays gone even as I like slowly reintegrate these apps into my life. I also wanted to talk a little bit about that because that's not really something I discussed very thoroughly in the last clip that I had. Am I going to be re-downloading every single social media app that I used to have on my phone? Absolutely not. I'm only going to re-download them when I want them or feel like I need them. So a lot of those apps, Twitter, TikTok, etc., are probably just going to stay deleted off my phone, and I am perfectly okay with that. Pinterest will probably be off for a while. Besides YouTube and Instagram, like I don't feel a need to get any of them back right away, and that's also something that's really cool, is it just made me reevaluate like which apps am I actually using, which apps do I actually want to be using, and just letting me get rid of everything else. Also, my biggest heavy hitters, which were checking YouTube analytics, checking Etsy analytics, both of them I have not checked so far today. I don't feel any desire to. I do feel this sort of weird like scaredness to look at them now. Like I almost feel like I went too far the other way where I'm like avoiding it, which is strange and I was not expecting. I want to get a healthy relationship where I'm looking at them maybe like once a day. That's editing Brielle's note. I just wanted to jump in and say all that because I realized I was like not super specific in my last clip, so okay, back to the outro. I hope you guys enjoyed watching my little journey with this, and I will see you guys soon. Peace out, brothers.